Hi, welcome to the FitTech Summit. Today we'll be talking to Cormac from Designer Partners and Martin from the Shopper Agency, discussing how the older generation are adopting new fitness habits and technology.
Hi, I'm Cormac, Creative Director, Design Partners.
Hi, I'm Martin Fawcett. I'm the Managing Director and founder of the Shopper Agency.
We're excited to be here at the FitTech Summit FIBO edition to discuss how the older generation are adopting new fitness habits and to talk about what are the future experiences we should be considering for them from a product and from a shopper perspective. So with gyms closing, with people being confined to their homes, and with our health threatened by COVID-19, our habits and our attitudes towards fitness and exercise are clearly shifting. So almost 90% of people in our New World of Home Fitness report said they don't exercise happily at home because of barriers. Why is that? What are those barriers? Specifically for the older generation we're going to discuss today. What are they looking for? And what are the most striking differences in habits between Generation Z and baby boomers? What does that mean for future business models for traditional and digital fitness industries? So before we dive into talking about the insights, we're going to give you a brief introduction about ourselves to put some context on the discussions.
We recognised very early on that the traditional consumer decision journey, the methodology that brands used, was pretty much flawed. Two big reasons really. The role of the physical store was changing significantly amongst the mix of the consumer, but more importantly the behavioural changes and the dependency we have on our mobile phones for browsing for products, for shopping for products, and for sharing our experiences really had made such a big impact on how the traditional consumer decision journey was taking place. So the Shopper Agency, which relies on a very simple proven model of search, shop, share, works with a relatively large portfolio of brands all over the world, helping them with their processes and their marketing agendas when it comes to influencing how the consumer first finds them in the first place, then how they shop that experience, and then finally the experience they take post the purchase. So really looking into how people become advocates and share their experiences with others. So the Shopper Agency's kind of key role, if you like, is to ensure that brands really do cement their relationship with their customers throughout their entire journey, from the moment they start that initial search or when that trigger happens, right through to that moment when they're great advocates of the brand and demonstrating to their friends, family and connections about that brand's experience.
Design Partners is a design and innovation agency. We collaborate with the world's most innovative brands to create future product experiences that empower and inspire people. Our expertise is in sectors like consumer products, in healthcare experiences, and of course in fitness industries. So everyone at Design Partners shares the same mission, and that's to elevate human potential. It's what drives us. It's about creating future product experiences that enable people to achieve incredible things. So how do we do that? Well, we're natural born problem solvers, but everything we do begins with research. We uncover meaningful insights that inspire business and innovation strategy. Then our connected team of research, design and engineers bring new ideas to life with our clients based on those insights. We really believe in collaboration, which is why we teamed up with the Shopper Agency to do some very interesting research around the future of home fitness, to uncover new insights based on changing habits and behaviours due to COVID-19. And we're looking at it from a shopper and from a product perspective. So this 3-month research initiative resulted in the New World of Home Fitness report.
As part of our ongoing insight programme with the consumer, we anticipated at the early stages of the COVID pandemic that there would be some significant changes in how people address exercise, physical wellness, and their well-being. So we chose to put together an insight document and a small amount of research that would enable us to understand a little bit more about how the consumer was feeling and their sentiment towards exercise. And we recognised that there was some significant changes taking place. Of course, people were to some extent removed from the daily routines they had, particularly around exercise. Of course, that has such a significant effect on people's well-being and mental health. So we wanted to kind of get an understanding of how consumers were really feeling, and to do that, we kind of took a broad approach to a number of different age demographics to kind of get a feeling and understanding for how they were responding, reacting to the situation during the COVID pandemic, but also if those behaviours were going to change for good, and would that therefore open opportunities for brands and marketing companies to, develop products and services that were really going to kind of meet the new behaviours and new expectations as we came out of the pandemic.
When it comes to home fitness, it's trendy to target the younger audience, but why should brands target the older generation?
Yes, Gen Z is a strategic focus area for many brands, including some of our clients, and our report revealed some interesting insights around how to create compelling home fitness experiences for them that are in contrast to the older generation. So Gen Z are motivated by tech-enabled communities. They have a strong desire to be guided by experts. In fact, they miss that more than any other generation post-COVID. And they're highly influenced by a brand's principles. The over 55s, on the other hand, have quite different needs and motivations. Many of them accelerated or enhanced due to the recent pandemic. For example, a social gamified platform is not what motivates the over 55s. Clearly, as Martin has been describing, COVID has had a large impact on the older generation. This is the heightened fear of their health, they are the generation told to cocoon, so this additional sense of isolation, and they are the generation at risk. So we've noticed clear attitudinal changes to their health and well-being post-lockdown. For example, 89% of over 55s are motivated to exercise to improve their mental health. Now, this is a 40% increase in motivation to pre-COVID. That's quite significant. This awareness of needing to keep fit, not just for physical well-being, but also on the psychological, cognitive well-being side. So we need to ask ourselves, how can we support this motivation? How can we innovate? How can fitness brands create new experiences, seek new technologies that can not only get the older generation moving, but also consider other aspects of their well-being? Currently, more than 10% of over 55-year-olds are exercising more every single day since lockdown, which is great. But as Martin said, unsurprisingly, they're also feeling more isolated than any other demographic, and they're exercising more to cope with COVID restrictions. So with this heightened awareness of their overall well-being, there is a huge opportunity to help this generation focus on what matters most and to create experiences that meet their specific needs. So while Gen Z craves competition and leaderboards, the boomer generation are looking for the outcome. So they want to see healthy progress. Brands need to communicate the well-being benefits of their service or offering over the exercise experience itself. So other specific areas that the report revealed was increase in focus on being motivated around sleeping better, again to do with the overall holistic well-being, and any of their motivations around weight loss, which was a 30% increase in motivation to lose weight, was all to do with health reasons, not to look better.
How are older generations adopting technology?
Interestingly, from an older generation point of view, is their early adoption to technology, but their willingness to steer clear of what they would see as technology fads. So I guess they're more interested in using technology in a more simplistic way to help them stay connected and to, I guess, support the fundamentals of day-to-day life. So you'll find that in the context of exercise, the older generations are much more interested in looking at technology that helps them measure their well-being, their heart rate, their sleep patterns, for example, as opposed to gamifying their fitness regime, for example, which may be something that the younger generations will be more keen to explore. You definitely won't find the older generations loading their phones with multiple exercise apps. You won't find them watching YouTube videos with celebrity endorsements, for example, but what you will do is you'll find them certainly interested in using smart devices to measure their everyday kind of health. Through the COVID process, it's been very clear that the patterns for older generations has changed. In some cases, many are shielding, and therefore, sedentary life has potentially started to kind of prevail. So of course, the older generations are really keen to deploy technology, if you like, into their lives that enables them to, I guess, keep fit, keep active, measure their well-being, look after their kind of vitals, if you like, but certainly not interested in using that technology as an entertainment device.
What do the 55 plus demographic look for in home fitness brands?
What's interesting about this question is when you compare the over 55s with the younger generation. So Gen Z seek brands that clearly stand for something. 91% of Gen Zs in our report place a high importance on a brand's sustainability and 80% on its charitable approach when buying from fitness brands. They also want brands to be fun. So for Gen Z, the transaction is clearly about more than the exercise at the end of it. They're buying into you. Now the older generation is less interested in this. They're almost brand agnostic. They're not overtly motivated by a brand's charitable approach or their policy on sustainability. They're not looking to build this digital online community. And they have little or no motivation, as Martin said, on endorsements. They are looking for that expertise and a brand that you can trust. So that means when you're projecting your brand principles, you need to really lean on those. What is your core competency in home fitness and how can you project that?
How can brands engage with the older generation?
If there's one thing that we've learned through the global pandemic is that older generations are significantly changing how they monitor their exercise, monitor their well-being, and look after themselves. Many older generations have either been self-shielding or restricted in their movements, and that's really put some significant pressure on how they look at their own exercise regimes and their day-to-day kind of expectations of well-being and how they feel. So I think it's really important that brands recognise that this has become a significant change for the older generation, but more importantly, this dependency on doing things differently and changing their habits will probably stay for the long term. Now, a really important thing about the older generations is that they come with some endowed kind of characteristics when it comes to consuming, when it comes to choosing products and services. So really important for brands to kind of recognise some of those kind of endowed characteristics in the process that they go through. Now, the older generation put highly on in their own recommendations trust and transparency when it comes to their engagement with brands and products. So I think it's really important that we recognise when we build our strategic platforms, when we build our brand profiles, when we build our products and services, that when we want to connect with this older generation, we significantly consider how transparent and clear we are about the products and services that people are buying. I think it's also important to recognise that this generation are used to using stores as a way of engaging with products and brands. They're highly engaged with store teams, and they look for support and advice. And obviously, given the situation with the pandemic, it's meant that obviously stores are to some extent limited in what they can achieve. So I think we need to turn to another kind of key marketing tool for the older generation, which is video. The older generations are the highest users of video online. So I think it's really important that brands consider video, YouTube, obvious kind of channels like that to build the sentiment of their brand through using film. But I think, again, just more importantly on that one is that we don't consider film to be about kind of showcasing or necessarily using celebrities or things like that. I think it's much more about the practical side of filmmaking. So making sure that the older generation, when they're watching your brand assets, that the brand assets are there to drive the efficiency, the transparency, and the support they need more than anything else. And I think the other thing to also consider is that the older generations are particularly price conscious. So again, we have to make sure that our pricing policies, the way in which we build brands and platforms, is efficient, transparent, giving them all of the tools they need to make that decision.
Absolutely, there are a number of very interesting opportunity areas for brands to focus on the older demographic in the home fitness space. We spoke about mental health and a more holistic approach to home fitness earlier, but one opportunity that seems relatively untapped for this generation is around strength training. So only a small percentage said that they were currently monitoring or tracking their strength when it comes to home fitness, but a large percentage mentioned that they would like to start. So when you look at the market today, there are a lot of traditional weight or calisthenic offerings available, but not experiences for this generation that promote strength in new and compelling ways. Of course, you have great brands like Tonal and Tempo and Bowflex that are delivering very attractive offerings for the younger demographic. But when you think about the health benefits that strength training can help with, such as increasing metabolism, muscle mass, improving bone density, and their interest to start tracking and monitoring this type of fitness, there's a clear opportunity emerging to innovate in this space.
Older generations report feeling isolated. Are they craving a social fitness community?
What the research has told us is that the older generations have felt the most isolated during this global pandemic and have been the most motivated in using connected technology and platforms to stay connected with their loved ones and family. However, this doesn't translate when it comes to exercise. They're in fact the least likely generation to seek online community-based exercise platforms. They're the least likely generation to seek online competitive exercise platforms. And whilst their exercise routines and well-being and health monitoring has increased during the COVID pandemic and is set to continue, they're the most likely generation to do that behind closed doors.
For brands developing new products in the home and fitness space, is there a formula that can be applied to specifically target the older generations?
So with the older generation staying home more than any demographic, the home fitness space is ripe for new product experiences for them. In our report, we tried to focus on uncovering what are the attributes of these new product experiences, not asking people to define the experiences, but to understand where are the areas that we need to start to innovate in. So when now looking at purchasing home fitness gear, the over 55s have emphasised some specific areas. The first one is compact. This must not take up space. Over 92% of them said that. Parallel to that, they want it to be quickly set up. So almost 90% of them said that. Quick setup. Then new interesting areas are easy clean. Obviously this new obsession with sterility and being able to clean surfaces is a new need, new opportunity to innovate. As well as that, people don't want it to be noisy. So the home being one of the primary areas for fitness now, as well as outdoors when gyms are still closed, How can we create experiences that are also not disturbing other people? So despite all of these rational attributes that people are looking for, almost 90% of them also want fun, which is amazing. They're asking us to create new product experiences that will bring joy to their lives. So this is great. So there are a number of areas that they definitely didn't have a clear desire for. Personalization, digital community, even replicating gym gear wasn't important to them. So being a product and innovation agency, we think about future experiences. These are the attributes, this is the formula that we need to start looking and digging deep into. How can we innovate into making things compact? How can we come up with really interesting, unique ideas for quick setup, easy clean, while adding that droplet of fun?
And finally, what does the future hold for the older generation?
Over the last 150 years, insight and innovation in medicine has increased the average life expectancy of an adult from 40 to 80. With the advancements of technology such as artificial intelligence and robotics and the ubiquity of data in our everyday lives, there is now an opportunity to increase that by a further 20 years in the next 10 to 15 years. For the older generations, carefully targeted products and services will enable them to rely less on our diminishing and stressed medical healthcare professionals and put them in the driving seat of the future of their health and mental fitness.
Martin's right. There's this profound shift in the healthcare industry, which is this movement towards patient empowerment. So this is driven by technologies that are enabling connected home health. So a patient might see a consultant once every few months, whereas a connected system not only gives them the data they need to self-manage, but also peace of mind that their consultant or their healthcare professional has constant visibility of their status. So digital platforms like this that allow people to self-manage their conditions will become a standard portal between patients and healthcare companies, and it will very quickly blur the line with home fitness and well-being. As well as that, as the average age expectancy does rise, our attitudes to the older demographic will shift. Our CEO Trevor was talking to me the other day and saying when he was 21 working in the print industry, a colleague noticed he had a black eye and concerned about what happened. Trevor explained that it happened during a rugby match in the weekend, and his colleague said, "Aren't you a bit old to be still playing sports?" So it's incredible how society's view on sports and fitness has constantly been shifting. So it's not only important to be targeting specific demographics now, but also to be looking at the next wave of demographic below them, because they will be the next over 55s. And people say age is just a number, when in fact it's also what society deems it to be. So you're either young or you're old at 50. It's not just a personal choice, but it's also a factor of how society sees you at 50. So as a fitness community, we have the power to influence society to create the next wave of fitness experiences that empower people, that inspire people, and that ultimately elevate their potential.